Map 3 of Clubhouse is going to be waiting for us just round the corner.
The thing is, what a prospect Clubhouse is between these two teams as well. You know, get onto an nice default map where there shouldn't really be any advantage sort of inherently for either of the teams and just let them go at it. I think it could be a fantastic and explosive end to the night, but Astralis, they're going to have to deliver that gift to us if we're going to see it. The bans come in. We've got Osa.
I was just thinking this. I was just thinking it's a target ban against Maya, who's their go-to Iana main. Absolutely deleted Fury in the finals of the qualifiers to get here, playing almost exclusively. Oh, Tim, there's you.
I will not be banned.
Silenced, never. I will still be around. But no, definitely a target ban. And I think the Osa coming in there as well. I'm going to say it's probably out of respect rather than fear, but you should really fear Maya. It's pretty scary. The Osa as well coming in because we've seen a number of teams try really cool executes making use of the Osa to push their way down through the Archives balcony, set up a couple of those, play around the C4s, try not to get caught out by those, and then go for a plant in behind those shields. It just removes that awkward point for the defenders where if you haven't got any C4s, for example, you're basically screwed. They're going to get the plant down. You are done for. Here we go then. Maya with the Iana ban coming in. We'll have to try and find something else on the second half of the game. For now, though, he's going to charge around on the dock. Oh, it's the duck again. The dock. We've seen quite a bit of dock actually over the last few days. Not like it's become a permanent staple in every single round on every single map, but some teams really enjoying the fact that, especially now with it paired alongside the Oryx, you can heal 200 hit points per stim coming out. So you haven't got to chug 2 or 3 of those into one player, or even into yourself. It's a full heal every single time.
We're going to have the mirror window played in sandwich there, and I'd kind of like, I know the angle isn't exactly the same anymore, but we do still see the nade dumped in from the dome above.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I'd like to see maybe a little attempt at that. Let's just, you know, launch a nade in there and see what happens. See if there's anybody playing in there that can be caught out. It's an oldie but a goodie. We'll see whether Astralis bring it to the table or not. They've only got 2 nades, so it's unlikely they're going to be keeping them for a specific purpose, I would imagine.
Okay.
Right. What a start. Just stood completely in the open. How's that for confidence? Yep, I'm just going to stand here. I'm going to wait for Spiff to turn up, and I'm going to slam him into next week.
I remember reading about this a long time ago for another well-known shooter that many of you will be very familiar with, I'm sure. Just talking about how even really high-level players can sometimes struggle against silver or even gold players because they play off angles. You don't expect them to be stood in the open. You expect them to be holding a really tight corner, and that's what you're looking for, so they can catch you off guard. Now, Rise is not a silver or gold player, but he is playing off angles. He's looking to surprise and catch people off guard, and that's exactly what he's done to, again, one of these big fraggers on the Astralis side in the form of Spiff.
This is it. Sometimes you've just got to, you know, the key there is not the rank, it's the unpredictability. You know, is ultimately the key. And like you say, you just don't expect that sort of situation. But Iconic did manage to get Dash along the way. Shuttle is going to be down. Can likely be collected.
Oh boy.
Need to be careful.
Oh no! Go!
Lobin knows that he wants this. He's going to be challenged from the top, and he says it's completely free as well if he goes out there. We're going to have one drop away. That's actually clever movement. I think it's Shuttle that's managed to... Is it Shuttle?
They can't get him. There's two of them at the other side of the map, Tim.
It's actually Iconic that's managed to drop away. Shuttle's maybe going to go and join him. But like you say, by the time they get over there, it's just going to be wasting too much time. So the decision has probably been made.
Oh, J9O's going.
He's on his way.
He's going to get him in time.
It's going to be 20, 30 seconds that gets wasted.
Oh, God. Okay, they're going to get them just. That's cost them about 45, 50 seconds.
That is a big time investment.
It's always worth it.
I get it. 2v4 does not look pretty.
If you have 60 seconds though when you get them back up. You will take 60 seconds in a 4 versus 4 every day of the week over a 2 versus 4 with a minute 30. Every day of the week. 2 players' lives are not worth 30 seconds, so we'll completely get the decision. But as I said, it does start running that clock down. They've got information and utility still to set playing behind here. Nade's still being worked in from below. Maya drops a donk on him. Good night, Iconic. And turns out actually getting them back on the feet, maybe not worth it. They've been taken out pretty quick. Forest, the last one left alive in a 1 versus 4. Lost one with a very, very powerful start in round 1.
If I was an Astralis fan right now, after that first round and that first round alone, I would be a little bit worried. I know I said we might be on for 40 rounds here tonight, Des, but the way that first one's gone, I'm not too sure. Lost one have got themselves a map advantage already, and on the defensive border, they've just absolutely dominated Astralis in round 1.
They made it look easy, I think is the most important thing.
Very
as well.
easy.
Now, helped admittedly a lot by the fact they managed to get those 2 downs and all that work being done out towards the side by the Oryx as well. Magical stuff without any real pressure coming through. There was attempts to get a response on the side of Astralis, but that's always the classic, risk versus reward scenario they find themselves in.
Going to have the Capcan brought along again. I really like the Capcan choice. It's, if nothing else, burns a lot of time. So many doors, windows, angles have got to be checked specifically here on Border because you can apply Capcans all along, like the main corridor of the top floor, for example, the archways. You can put Capcan traps on those, and they don't quite look like doors, so it's kind of easy to forget that they can go on there. The castle barricades, you're just seeing one deployed there on the right-hand side of your screen as well. They can all be utilised in that 90-degree corridor upstairs, so something worth remembering for your games at home.
Absolutely. It creates this nice little kind of vertical corridor that they can play around east stairs, comfortably then get back in towards office. They can play above. Just means Astralis are going to have to try and get something like the Ash in range there to blow them out from afar before they can start pushing on forwards. Without that, though, if the Ash goes down quite early on, for example, it's going to be a case of beating away on them one at a time, which you simply can't do because your feet are always positioned underneath the barricade. It's a freebie for any defenders that are in the vicinity. So really powerful, these castle barricades. It can normally force attackers to bring like a sledge, for example. Of course, not here in this round. So as mentioned, it would have to be the Ash, or maybe those Selmas also coming out. Forest straight inside a passport, though, getting this wall opened up in towards waiting area to expose Dash a little bit. He's going to get nice and close, though. Rather than peeling away, he wants to get aggressive.
He certainly does. Dash is going to be watching the ingress point that's been opened up into Passport. Forrest on a long angle as well. Does have an advantage given that he's on the attackers and does have a better magnification on the scope. But still, with the way things have going, you wouldn't put it past Lost One to be winning those fights anyway. They've been absolutely phenomenal in gun skill so far tonight. J9 going to be pushing into the top of East Stairs. He's got somebody joining him. Oh no, the silhouette was just on the outside of the building. I thought it was somebody moving up East Stairs with him, but Astralis just trying to get themselves established up in the top floor. They're not quite there yet.
No, I mean, on this east side of the building is a good place to start. You know that you want the office control. You'd rather not fight your way through CC, through 90 or the rest of it. Forrest feeling a little bit cheeky. I'm sure he can see the feet of the player that's laid down if he steps across to the right, at least the littlest of bits as well. Hopefully not going to see a recreation of the Koi game here. A burn over the top, they don't know. And he's not getting tickled out by, in fact, a light rise is going down low, but has found one. Can't turn it into a second. 2 kills coming in for Astralis, and they've got site control. Diffuser back in hand, the plant coming down. What can the last 2 members of Lost One do to recover what looks like a dire situation?
I feel like this is going to be a fairly easy plant, should Shuttle choose to go ahead with it. We've got Lobin just fighting tooth and nail here on the pistol. He goes back to the TCG, manages to find his man. A couple of kills come in. The diffuser is planted, but with 2v2, Maya moves down and might have an opportunity here. I'm not sure exactly where the cover is placed. Shuttle is low health and might just get caught out here.
If they can isolate this into 2 separate 2v1s, then absolutely splendid. But outside of that, it looks to be an Astralis round. They've got great site setups here. Good angles set up, and there we go. Spiff wins the first one. It's down to Lobin. He's got no HP on side. C4's in hand, but Spiff wins the second one. Astralis take the round.
Well played, Spiff there at the end. Certainly not panicking. Getting the job done, closing it out. It was probably a little closer than Astralis might have wanted there. Managing to get in and get that diffuser down was a big part of the round for them, but they did lose bodies in doing so and wouldn't have expected necessarily a 2v2 at the end. But it makes it 1-0 on the scoreboard, and what a surprise, Des. This one continues to be back and forth.
Unsurprisingly, right? I mean, this is exactly how things started on Theme Park as well. We had 2 pretty strong rounds, one from either side, where they picked up a 3K early on and went on to roll over the rest of the round. That was far from a rollover. It was very good, very opportunistic being shown by Astralis and showing that attacking in towards that site, you don't need massive swaths of map control. You don't even need the vertical angle, it turns out, as well. They were just very happy sending 2 or 3 players in towards site, killing the player or 2 that were on site, namely Rise on the castle, getting the plant down, and then playing the reverse angles on those that are trying to push back into you. So a good response, and arguably as well, the second or third time now that we have seen Lost One caught out by these more aggressive site-based moves out of Astralis. I look back towards Theme Park and think about lab and storage. I'm not saying it's like a rampant issue here, but it has affected them now 2 or 3 times and cost them as many rounds. So maybe being a little bit more careful, playing a little bit tighter to site is the way that Lost One should think about this.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
Astralis then moving quickly in behind that EU1D scanner. There's a couple of Lost One are going to be picked up with those red pings as they still move in when the scan goes off. Straight away, Forest is giving some attention to sight window. Garahut comes out and it looks like he's going to look to get into Armory very quickly, and he's being joined by J9O. Yep, there he goes, straight in, takes a lot of damage. It's not looking great.
Jesus.
2 kills come in, Raz and Maya. What a defense of the top floor, but as you say, they are not planting anymore, Des. Lobin moves in and takes shot down, and in absolute quick time, we have got a flawless round for Lost One.
There's Lobin running his mouth, as I said, the real villain of the game. I love it. But I was just like, yay, fast round, make head happy. That was a great round as well because it showed a really good response coming out of Lost One. I assume that stem's still going off even now. But Astralis did really try well there. I liked the play they had. They had the plant rush coming in. They had the assault in the upstairs to try and distract so vertical angles couldn't be played. It was really well orchestrated, but Lost One were just there ready to adapt. I didn't see which player it was, but whoever was on 90 who pushed their way up to Bleepers on top floor and got the kill onto the Amaru was the real MVP there as well, because they retained top floor control. They didn't have to battle in blind back versus the Amaru, and that really just meant that on the downstairs, the Oryx didn't have to worry about vertical angles, knowing that they still had that area contested. It wasn't completely taken by Astralis. So a lot happening in a very short amount of time. And here, Astralis, you can see, taking a timeout.
I think for the base armory, I could use some sort in there, but for the other ones, you keep looking for it.
Well, it's no surprise to see the timeout, especially, I think more in response to that round specifically. You know, Astralis thinking, let's get in there, let's try and make something happen, and just, you know, they were beaten out of it essentially. So, you know, wanting to just ensure that Lost One don't really carry too much momentum out of that.
It felt like, to me, like they're almost like they felt a bit short on ideas in the attack. Like they had to pause for a second
just
and think,
got to do something.
You know, we've tried a couple of things here that we thought might work that clearly haven't. You know, how can we reset this to stop this being a 4-2, a 5-1 half to Lost One, for example, because attacking into border,
you want to be winning your attacks.
You've got to be on this map. It's one of the maps that, for me, it's the new Coastline. Anyone who's followed EUL for a while knows that I was never really the biggest fan of old Coastline. Ironically enough, do actually quite enjoy the reworked Coastline. It's a little bit less chaotic. There are less angles that you can abuse from the roof, for example. The windows are a little bit smaller. There's no cheesy service entrance plan, so on and so forth. Border has kind of become that because there are just so many soft walls, especially on the top floor, that give you these long angles that go through the entirety of the site. It's one of those where the attackers don't really have to go inside the building to find themselves 2 or 3 kills as soon as the defenders set a single foot wrong, and they'll have no idea where they're being shot from 90% of the time. So it can be a little bit frustrating, but it does give a real deathmatchy feel where it does become quite close. Everything is very hectic, as you saw in that previous round. It does make for some really interesting and different siege, but for me, I'm just like, too much going on.
Beautiful Rachero drone placement there, managing to take out 3 Keeper barricades. I'm a little bit worried for Astralis, Des, that this one might just be running away from them. Dots is going to take down J9O, and Lost One once again are looking pretty good here. Iconic puts the nade back in the pocket and decides to go upstairs instead. Shuttle taking a lot of damage along the way, and this is just turning into what can only be described as an absolute brawl, Des.
A brawl is what we're here for, Tim. Now, the beauty is Maya's on side with the dock, which can get dashed back up to full HP. There you go, that 200 HP stim coming through, and it's like he was never in a fight in the first place. Lobin a little bit lower, but Maya not wanting to waste one of those valuable 3 pellets. Almost like elixirs of youth here, bringing them back up to full HP. Not worth it for about 15 HP that's been taken away from Lobin just yet.
Maya is going to be in that power position inside of CCTV. We've seen a couple of teams struggle to move players from there. Maya's actually just dipped behind the wall for the time being. Needs to be careful because Spiffer's got the angle and is hitting shots so far tonight. There you go. Hits another one with a beautiful headshot to take down Maya. But Iconic is going to be down, going to be out. Lobin with a double. Spiff with a double, answering back. A triple in the round. Spiff could be the saving grace for Astralis here in round 4. 2v2. But there is a slight hit point advantage on the side of Lost One.
Dude, it's freaking crap. They've got 60 seconds to play with here. There's still so much to work with, but not forgetting there is still a C4 in the back pocket of Rise as well. Could be a little bit of a world ender. And what I like is, rather than trying to charge their way forward here, Astralis has said the remaining 2 players, Forest and Spiff, again, the 2 that you really want in this kind of situation, pause things a little bit here, get some drones out and refigure out how we're going to play this. Maybe identifying that actually on the west side there isn't all that much of a hole coming in right now. There's one inside of Armory, one inside of Archives, and Forest is waiting for that trigger to say go.
Time is ticking by. Rise and Dots just holding their positions, covering each other's sort of opposite angles, if you will. Forest is looking to move into Archives now, but Spiff's going to be downed, and there's the final kill onto Archives door, and Lost One again managed to stand tall.
A little bit of a mistiming there, I think, actually on the Astralis side as well. Spiff was in a few seconds before his counterpart was, which really meant that there were isolated gunfights coming out for the two players on the side of Lost One. Looking good for them now, moving up to 3-1 on the defensive border. I'll tell you one thing worth pulling up, Tim, actually. I'm curious about what the overall stats are for this map so far at the competition. I know Border's been one of our most popular. In fact, it's tied most popular with Bank. Defender win rate, 47%. Not actually that unreasonable, so 3-3s, kind of what you're expecting coming into the map. Just worth looking at some of the site stats as well. Archives Armory, the only defender positive site with 53%. The lowest one, Supply and Customs at 33. That's why we've only seen it 6 times so far across 126 rounds.
The problem for Astralis there being, if you're expecting a 3-3, Lost One have already accomplished that. There's the potential for them to go 5-1 here, and honestly, I feel like Astralis, as time goes on, are just getting more and more beaten up here, and you've got to remember, this is Lost One's map choice as well. They've already taken away Astralis's pick of Theme Park, so it doesn't always hold perfectly true, but teams pick maps for reasons, you know, and Lost One are coming out and showing a great command on the defense here, and if they can keep this momentum, you know, we've spoken about team energy and things before. You feel like Astralis, they are one of those high energy teams. They want to be shouting, they want to be, you know, up out of the chairs, they want to be, you know, really hyping each other up, but when that's not possible, how do they perform then?
That's the problem.
Exactly that. When the energy is low, when they are losing, when they're 3-1 down, 4-1 down, 5-1 down, where's the resilience? Can they do it without that energy?
I mean, energy's kind of been a big thing we've been able to observe quite a lot throughout this competition. You know, hearing the player comms, how much are they talking to each other, what are they saying, what are the coaches' involvements, for example, to boost that up. We have a team from our own region, you know, looking towards Koya, a great example of a team who need high energy for them to be successful. Some games where it's been low, we haven't seen them play as well as they might normally do. So it's going to be a big thing for Astralis, I think, to keep that at least up somewhat, though it is really hard to find a way back in when you are consistently losing rounds and struggling to find an answer to get through.
Raz is going to get caught out there, nice and easy. Forest goes in and gets a good entry using the Nox silence to be able to sneak up on Rise. Going to start working on those vertical angles, but they need to be aware of Maya. They've still got some company up there.
To Jamball there as well, on towards 90, so they can't get that opened up just yet. But no doubt we'll be able to sometime soon. Dash taking a couple of shots as well, and both of them scattered towards the high winds. He doesn't know about the man inside of office. In fact, he's just dropped down, so won't have the chance. And I think at this point, Forest knows as well. Looking for the gunfight, but will Forest win it out? Some gunshots coming back the other way, but both of them walking away in one piece. Maya finding one more. 4v3, 4v2.
Looking better for Astralis as they manage to get a good few kills on the board, and they've got the opportunity to put the diffuser down. Shuttle goes into sight and is likely to start doing so soon.
Shots.
There it is. Seconds ticking by. Forest slams Dash, and that is going to leave Shuttle now. Oh no, he comes off the diffuser. I think he just hears Maya approaching, gets his rifle in his hand, and he's going to find that final kill. Astralis keeping it tight despite Lost One looking electric. It's still 3-4.
I think they must have had that on a drone there to make the call as it came through. Really well played once again. And looking still within sight to be able to pull back that 3-3 half. We had the same back on Theme Park. It's about as close as it gets between these two teams, which is exactly what you wanted to see, Tim.
Correction there being that it's 2-3. I'm getting carried away.
We're getting there.
I'm rounds ahead of myself. I'll leave the script on one side. Astralis are going to be facing their final attack now. Honestly, Des, if they come away with 3-3 here, they can absolutely count their blessings. Because the way that Lost One have played so far, they were 3-1 up. As you say, 3-3 is a decent half on border at the minute, you know, given the stats at this tournament specifically. And Astralis have, you know, they've got to thank their lucky stars if that happens. Because it's not been a good start for them. But that last round was much better. I'd like to see another one like that for them then, and we can go into a nice strong second half of border.
Interesting, two sites that have been won by Astralis have been the same site. It has been looking in towards Tellers and Bathroom here. The other two sites so far being won by Lost One. So if history were to repeat itself, they'll find themselves pulling out ahead here on Vents and Workshop that we saw back in round 3. One thing worth stressing out again is something I pointed out back on day 1 when we had OXG coming up against Astralis. Yep, 2 NA teams in the same group, it does happen. We've got a few EU teams also crossing over each other. But Forest, I think it was second in NA for plants, Like, I think he moved towards playing a flex role middle of the year, but still was only 4 plants behind Dream, but also was right up there when it came to frags as well. Plus 31 when it came around to entry throughout the year, compared to Newers, who was plus 32. So Forest, no matter what role you seem to put it on, seems to be really successful, not just in the NAL, but also across this competition. And it's almost like, Tim, that was part of the script, because as I'm talking about him and celebrating his accomplishments, he gets the entry onto Dash.
It's a little bit more success there. Lobin going to be going up to this door aggressively. He's going to get found out though. J9 manages to find a kill and lost one. Just seem to have lost the momentum.
Here comes a new challenger.
Seem to have lost their groove here. Out he comes, but J9's having absolutely none of it. Going to shut down Meyer on the run out, and that leaves us very quickly in a 5 versus 3 in favour of Astralis.
I don't hate it. 3v5, you know that the odds are going to be against you. You have to make a play, but peeking the same angle again may not be the play to make there, Maya, my friend. Down to a 5 versus 2. Astralis definitely on course here for that 3-3 half that we spoke about. Forest just waiting to see if anyone else dares try and move in. Clearly expecting the LATAM side to get aggressive here.
I like this from Astralis. They're not rushing things. Back onto the drones. They're going to now start moving again after sort of 15-20 seconds of droning, just to see exactly who is where and what's going on ahead of them. They are, of course, attacking onto ventilation and workshop. Nice nitro from Rise.
Hey.
That's 1 kill back. 2 versus 4. Still, you know, unlikely for Lost One, but they can only get 1 kill at a time.
And that's going to try and get a multi-kill, which doesn't really seem possible anymore. Forest, again, the player that we started talking about, has had a good round here. Gets his team very much in it alongside J9 with his 2 kills out on the south balcony. Literally nothing else we found for Lost One there. Nice and cozy round for Astralis going into the second half.
That is an absolute turnaround for the NA side. Coming away, you know, they were 3-1 down, and I honestly thought we were looking at a 4-2, 5-1 half for Lost One. But they've massively turned that around. 3-3. They go on to the defense now, which, you know, we've said you kind of like your attacks on border, but equally at this tournament we are seeing it pretty evenly matched. And I think the defense might just suit Astralis a little bit better than the attack has.
Alrighty, change over. Dots straight away onto that DKB. An operator we've spoken about a lot this week. The ability to slowly force defenders back towards the site itself, not wanting to be caught astray by any roaming, I suppose more lurking attackers on their way through the building. Really helps to speed things up a little bit if you feel things are going slow. On the other side, that's Solis. Whenever I think of Solis now, I will always remember the DZ game from yesterday against Secret, where they just bullied them with that operator. We haven't seen the team be as effective at that. Maybe part of it was down to Secret and their drone use, for example, but it does mean that you're trying to slow Lost One down here, take away some of the information. That's where it's kind of counteracted somewhat by the DKB as well.
On to the defensive side we go for Astralis. Armory is going to be their first site of choice. We've got the Zami that's going to be playing. It's iconic, going to be playing in CCTV, already setting up keeper barricades, likely to try and survive there for as long as possible, I would imagine. He's going to come under pressure immediately, I think, because Lost One are certainly shaping up towards that side of the map, so I don't think it's going to take too long for them to be looking to get themselves inside of CCTV.
Slowly does it here as well on their march forwards. 3 drones taken out so far with the help of the Solis, so far from the end of the world. We can see the impact it is having. They are keeping themselves largely outside the building and working on taking out some utility before they start getting themselves in and through. Shield comfortably removed, and now feel they can start at least a push in towards that east side.
Shuttle will continue on the drone hunting potentially, just watching for anybody moving in through main door as well. Just there you go, he gets his drone, and that leaves us with 6 still on side for Lost One, so not terrible when you're playing against the Solis, but I'm sure they are going to get eaten away as another one gets taken out. We're now down to 5, and Lost One just need to be careful that they're managing that utility and that they keep the information on their side.
Can't quite tell if that neighbour's coming in there to remove the cat cans of the inside door, if it was a Malusi at the bottom of main stairs. Either way, it was tossed in by Lobin there to clear those away. One of those 2 valuable nades they actually have available to them in the round. For now, Astralis not really had to do too much feet shuffling halfway into the round. Just a Solis on the downstairs that's kept busy looking out for these electronics and feeding information back across the team. Of course, not forgetting that when you spot drones coming in, generally it does indicate that someone wants to push in through that area of the map. That's why they're droning it out to make sure it's safe first. So you can get far more information than there is a drone here. We should do something about that.
Forest absolutely getting away with the drop there, right in front of the man at main door. Still manages to find the kill. J9 onto Maya. We have the cap traps activated as well. Forest managing to pick that one up. Dash with 1 for loss 1, but it's going to be all that they've taken so far in this round, and they are 2 versus 4. Only 57 seconds left to go, and it's not going to be easy for them from here. Dash is at the top of East Stairs, just looking to see if he can pick up anything cheap into office, but they can't hold these angles forever.
And the diffuser's down as well with the player sat on top of it, so there's not too much that you can do. I think for a second they were looking at trying to push their way into office, but there's more than that to worry about. There's still a player inside of CC, for example, hanging around 90. Oh, you must be joking.
I mean, that's far from ideal.
Oh.
It's the best way that I could... We're going to ignore that for Dash.
No, we're not.
I'm going to try to ignore that for Dash. These things happen. I'm not sure exactly how that happened, but it did. So he is now on his own rise. He's going to be going in 1 versus 4, time ticking down. There's no way that he wins this. Realistically, Astralis are going to be going on to 4-3 and getting themselves an advantage on the defense.
Cozy round coming out there as well.
Let's go, keep it going.
We've got to identify who the power player, like right there, I saw someone,
Listen, yeah, do this.
Still in relatively good spirits, at least the coaches. Lobin maybe a little bit less so. Not the cleanest end to a round there coming out of loss 1. But it is what it is. It's a good start for Astralis on their defensive side as well. The exact kind of thing that you want to be getting underway. I just love that. Oh, it's such a classic.
I know somebody who doesn't love it.
It's like when you like headshot Fresh. Or was it he who headshot you? And
I've never headshot Fresh.
Was it he who killed you?
Fresh that regularly team kills me.
Wasn't it like as a drone was coming past, he jumped in the air and you ran in front of it and shot
he
you?
Tried to shoot the drone.
It was a really bad attempt at shooting the drone, admittedly.
Just shot me in the face instead.
Yeah, much bigger target. Ridiculous. You're like a lighthouse with that bald head, Tim.
Obviously.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Obviously. Right, we're going to have Oryx brought along by Iconic this time, so a little bit of mobility put into the side of Astralis. They looked pretty good on the defense then. They were all over the map getting kills. Lost 1, unable to get anything going. Lost 1 just seemed to have gone off a cliff in the last couple of rounds. You know, they're at a point where they're killing themselves with Roteros here. It's just not ideal at the minute.
They just hate border that much.
Who knows?
Get me out.
They were so good in the first 4 or 5 rounds. You know, yeah, they lost round 5, but overall, first 4 or 5, they were really, really solid. And all of a sudden, they just seem to have lost their edge. They're not winning the gunfights they were previously. And like I said, just sort of silly mistakes like that creeping in.
Well, give them a couple of rounds here on the attacking side because they might warm into it, not forgetting that it wasn't always the best for Astralis early on in this game as well. 2-1 was where the scoreline sat in the first quarter of the game. So really here you want to see probably at least one of the next 2 rounds go in the way of lost 1 to keep up pace of what we had before. But here we go with the direct in towards site push through, trying to find anyone that they can, and there is no one yet to be found. Dash is about to get blindsided to the left though. Oh my god, he wins the fight against Shuttle. Plant's going down though, Candelas have done their job. They've got full control of site, Tim. No one's home.
They've absolutely got away with one there. Astralis have taken their eye off the ball. They had the hatch, they had the verticals, but they just weren't in a position to deny the plant in the position that it went down. Fantastic use of the Ying utility. And sometimes you just got to throw a rush at it, Des, and see if it sticks. And that one really has. 4 versus 2 as the kills start raining in now towards the end of this activated diffuser phase. But there is minimal time here. Candela goes out, making it even more difficult. Iconic, though, he's going to give it a little tweak, but it won't be enough as the upside down rappel is in position. And that's going to be the round for loss 1. And that is, you feel like, kind of the round that they needed. As I said, they felt like they'd lost their edge. They felt like they'd sort of switched off a little bit, and then all of a sudden, bang, in they come. Few kills, diffuser down, and it might just reinvigorate them.
Bathroom Tellers once again proving to be the site that's impossible to hold by the looks of things. Maybe trying to play out towards Vents Workshop more often would be interesting. Custom supply could even come into things a little bit. When I was looking back at those stats earlier on, what was it I said? That it was supplying customs with the lowest win rate? Maybe not then. Let's keep on going for this one, but at least in this game, it does have a 0% defender win rate. Both teams very, very good at spotting opportunities to push it towards side, get the diffuser down, and cause a little bit of chaos. Vents Workshop where we go to here in round 9 then. Let's see if Astralis' fortunes can turn around.
Top floor presence. Once again, the Capcan is up there. We're going to have the Azami brought back along. It's Spiff this time rather than Iconic. Iconic shifts on to the Solus this time. So third different operator inside 3 rounds. We've seen Iconic on Azami, Oryx, and now Solus. Just being fluid in between those operators and just what the team needs, really. Just that sort of flex coming out. Looking to pick up some drones. Not going to get that one there. Might go for a little run out if he dares. I don't think he's going to. Not going to push it that far as the drone has gone a little bit too far back.
Working still through with the drones. That's Solus again, keeping them at bay at least temporarily. Done a better job this time around of keeping more of the drones on side, mind you. They are aware of this drone up in the very high rafters. You saw a couple of bullets raining skyward there as the attempts came in to take away some of that valuable utility.
Interesting point as well. We've commented how evenly matched these teams are. Map 1 went to overtime. This one is 4-4. If you look at the entry in 8 rounds, that is also sat at 4-4. Forest, interestingly, has every entry kill for Astralis so far on this map. They're a little bit more spread out. Dash, Dots, and Rise all getting in on the action where Lost One have picked up those entry kills. But it's a fascinating one to watch. Keep an eye on Forest at the beginning of the rounds, and if he's not in a position to get those entries, Astralis aren't faring too well.
He's keeping up the sort of stats that he's been delivering throughout the year. Like I mentioned, he was one of the best in NA when it came around to entry and plant stats. A big rarity, but definitely supported by him moving over from being support back in stage 1 through to now playing a much more flex-based role as we've seen time and time again. Drone hunting through the floor there, not being found out. Maya pushing on through on the Ash. Clearly that is the operator of choice when the Iana has not been available to him. And Forest and Chloe just waiting here to catch someone off guard, but as of yet, unable to find anyone.
I kind of like that. That's, using that information in 2 ways. It's looking at it saying, right, the drone has come through there, so in about 20-30 seconds, somebody's likely to follow it. Iconic is going to be able to pick up Maya, which was the Ash that was up above. Not sure whether that's just been a prediction sort of shooting through the floor, but as I say, just using that drone information fascinatingly and to great effect there. Now, the keeper barricades are just being used to try and deny the verticality, but with a sledge up there, you feel like it might be a little bit of a waste of utility. I suppose it stops that instant reaction, that instant kill, but the keeper barricades are not unlimited, whereas the sledge, it's not unlimited, but it's going to take down every keeper barricade you've got without a problem.
Full time is the big one here, I guess, as well, though, right? Because it is slowly chewing through the amount of time that Lost One have got to make this 5 versus 5 work. Nades rolling on through, bounces off the wrong way, almost a bit of a team kill there, I thought, for a second. And Dash is going to find himself grilled through the floor by Iconic, who, again, with this Solus, has been doing quite a bit of work this half.
There we go, Iconic just taking shots on the man at main door. Going to take a little bit of damage, but Dots it is who manages to get in and get a kill onto Spiff, and that's going to just really help to get an opportunity to get the diffuser down here. Dots, as you say, just in a bit of a safe space here.
What are you doing?
Iconic able to get in and get the kill, get a second through the floor. Iconic's having a big round. Rise stepping in, shut down, and that's going to be Astralis taking the round and going 5-4.
Lobin kind of threw that one a little bit as well. Stepped off the hatch. Nice. Lobin, throw maybe is a strong word, but really kind of handed it over to the other side there. He was on the hatch initially whilst the plant was going down, providing cover in towards Workshop, but steps away, and that is the exact moment when the flank comes through. It's a little bit of siege timing. It's a little bit of indecision on his side. I'm not sure what else he could possibly have stepped away from, because the most important thing to get done there was the diffuser to go down. You're at a man disadvantage. There's a good chance you don't win on gunfights here, but playing in a post plant really gives you a big advantage. So a little bit of a thrown away round there for Lost One. Astralis move up to 5-4.
Armory Archives will be our next round for round 10. They played this back in round 7. It was an Astralis win. If they can recreate that, they're going to give themselves a map point opportunity, but they're also going to give themselves a couple of bites at the cherry. They're going to be playing, I think, out in CCTV. We've also got Spiff this time on the Solus, so passing operators round, switching them up quite a bit. It's the same setup, give or take, as the last time that they were here. Iconic shifted back to the Azami. He's going to play in CCTV. They did have an alibi last time, which they've foregone this time, I think, switching it out for the mirror. But interesting setup. I love any setup with a mirror, to be honest. I always like to watch them.
They're always fun. It forces the attackers to normally have to play into it a certain way, and we've seen already in this series, Monty, smoke grenades, those sort of things coming out. Not seeing too much through the tournament vertical play really coming into it, to be fair, to help unsettle them. Obviously in Fountain, less of an ideal situation, especially like here where it's above concrete. But on other maps where it could have been a possibility, mainly teams have opted to bring along a Twitch instead. Because with the buff that she's now got, where she has 2 normal drones as well as 2 shock drones, she's still a pretty lethal force, even if you feel somewhat forced to taking her because of those shock drones to help deal with the mirror windows.
Lost One have opened up detention downstairs. Spiff is actually playing down there on the Solis, so I think maybe they've recognised that and are looking to just unsettle Spiff. But at the moment, they've pushed away from it, so Spiff is going to be able to continue down there. There are certain areas you can plant where Spiff would not be able to have an effect on it, so it might not be that the Solis can be played for denial as such, but can still be a nuisance maker.
I was talking to Pengu about Solus earlier, and I think the general consensus is, you know, got to reduce that range on a gadget. Just sees so much. You'll be seeing everything exactly where the drones are coming in. Where's the attacking intent coming in from Lost One? In comes the EE1D. Normally with the juice in coming from the Vinker, it means a move forward is being made. And there's one. J90 finds one, a second for Forest. But there's little kills coming back and forth, left and right. Mainly in the favour of Astralis, though. They're now in a 4 versus 2. A 4 versus 1. Astralis have really worn into things here and moved themselves up to match points.
Certainly have, and it's another entry kill for Forest. That gives him 5 on the day. Just have a quick look through. No entry deaths for Forest either, so 5 and 0 at the minute. Absolutely flying and really putting Astralis' best foot forward in this one.
Understandably, a tactical break coming in here for Lost One. Massage for low bit. Damn, I'll take one of those.
Então a gente tem que aproveitar pouco mais de mapa.
O PC tá muito examinado, galera.
Vai secar depois. Fácil, tá ligado? A gente tá deixando a par nisso. A tática que é pra jogar na penta é a tática da oficina com mira. Porque aí é extremamente forte nessa área e eles não fazem pixel na caixa de ferramenta, então a gente consegue forçar o plant também.
É caçada padrão, né? Caçada padrão.
Aí, segunda maneira, caçada padrão.
E depois
Lost One looking a little bit subdued at the minute, you feel.
I like that they can bring the ninja down and have a good like, measured conversation
but there was certainly a lot more conversation last time we saw them in attack timeout. This time they seemed just a little bit more reserved.
That felt more instructive.
Yeah.
I think last time around it was more at a point where they weren't getting hammered. It was just a good time to have a conversation, whereas here, they know they're at match point. This is where the coach has stepped in and said, right, okay, here's what we need to get done here. You've got to stop doing that. We've got to look at doing this instead. Little bits being and directions being given out to the players individually. And maybe that's enough to get them through. Astralis going to, again, this suboptimal site for the defensive side's win rate. It hasn't yet been won on this map between these two teams. So Lost One should be feeling pretty confident about what it is they're walking into. The IQ maybe being 6 picked in here as well to help deal with the Solis, but Astralis have played the bait game pretty well and are not opted to bring the Solis this time around.
The Oryx goes downstairs. Spiff just going to be barricading off detention. It just gives a little audio cue if anybody does choose to push their way in through there. You sort of feel like Astralis are good for this at the minute. They're doing fantastically well over the last couple of rounds on the defence. They've won Ventilation Workshop. They've won Archives Armory. I'd like to see it go to 12. I'd like to see it go to overtime. I'd like to see everything we can out of this, to be honest.
Sure you would.
It's just been a brilliant matchup. Again, it's been another really enjoyable one at the end of the day. Two teams coming in that I thought were pretty evenly matched and were going to give us a good game, and they've certainly delivered on it. I think also both teams that I would say at this point, from what we've seen, could make a good run in the tournament.
I've said it already early on, and again, I stopped short of saying it just before the tournament got underway, but Lost One with a team that I was like, oh, I love their story. Team One have merged with Los Grandes, a massive organisation in LATAM. Millions of followers across social media, really well respected and well known. So there's kind of a point to prove for some of these boys. And at the same time, they've got Loban in. The rest of the team are kind of the outcasts, the mongrels from a lot of other teams, especially in Tier 2 in LATAM. 100% the underdogs. They've come in and beat Furia, for example, stomped Furia in the LATAM qualifiers. They've got a really exciting story about them. Now, can they go on and beat some of the big teams like W7M? Right now, I think most would look at them and say no, but they have impressed more and more as the games have gone by, so never say never.
They certainly haven't. I said I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, I think it was the day before, when we cast Lost One for the first time, I said, I get the same feeling that I did 18 months, 2 years ago about Damwon Kia. I really liked Damwon Kia, and I sort of got behind them a bit because they were so entertaining.
Okay, a massive Damwon shill.
It was just because they were entertaining. I just loved watching the Siege that they were playing. It was one of them. I just really looked forward to their games, and it's becoming the exact same with Lost One. You know, win or lose, it is entertainment. Now, we're going to have a win there as Maya comes through and manages to get a double onto Iconic and J90. That is an absolutely fantastic spearhead push coming in. Dots, Lobin getting in on the action. That attack timeout's worked, Des. It might have been a little bit quiet, but whatever was said has certainly done the trick.
And now Shuttle's left alone against all 5, and this feels like a flawless round in the making here, as he's not quite sure what his left from his right is. Here comes one, but there's also others coming down east stairs at the same time. Gets pushed in from 2 spots. What a beautiful round coming out from Lost One. Everything being driven from archives as well. That was really the backstab they needed to unsettle the mirror player, get the one playing off by the window towards the north, also a little bit unsettled. And before you know it, 3 kills have just flown to Lost One's direction. A little bit surprised there, I think, Astralis, by where that push came from.
Well, there we go. Maya just walking in, getting a couple of kills and really firing things up. You know, overall, I think Maya maybe been a little bit, I won't say quiet this game, certainly maybe, you know, less impactful than we've seen previously.
Yeah.
I think is a fair way of putting it.
Can't be a hero all the time.
No, you can't. You know, Maya had a fantastic game against BDS, I'm sure we all remember. But yeah, you know, still has those big moments in the locker and really delivered there.
What I'm liking is really, with the exception of Dash, I mean, he's even an 11 to be fair, but like for Astralis, 13 to 21 across the series has been the kill range so far. So everyone again getting involved. On the other side, Lobin's sat at 25 right now, but outside of that, you've got Dots, Maya and Rise all sat on 16, 18 and 16. So these are the games that I spoke about at the start of the series I really love when it's a team game. It's great fun watching Shaiko tear through 3K after 3K after 3K, or Doki dropping a 3K and ace and a 4K in 3 consecutive rounds. But that's a hero play to me. It's great and exciting to watch. It's good to see that a player's really switched on the day, but it doesn't show the strength of a team. I think what we're seeing throughout this series is really good team play, and that's what makes for an engaging series.
Round 11, round 12, here we go. It's going to be Lost One's last opportunity, but also Astralis' last opportunity. Lost One to save something out of this, Astralis to get it done without the need for overtime. We are 1 map to 0, of course, in favour of Lost One at the minute. So they are looking to close this out. They don't want to go to Clubhouse. They don't want to go to a 3rd map here because they know that Astralis have got the measure of them, and this is a close game, and it's one that could be as easily lost as it could be won. Iconic's going to be still in the setup, 50 seconds, and still applying mirror windows and doing that site setup. It's above the site as it is, but still lots of work going on.
That's okay. I think that's more being adaptive and trying to figure out, okay, where are they pushing from? Where should these mirror windows go? They haven't been placed down, but on the other side for Lost One, what you can see is the Book, who can get in below and blow out a couple of those mirror, or the one that's at least over the soft flooring inside of Workshop. And on the other side, you've got the Twitch that can also rain through site, assuming it goes unchecked, and take out those mirror windows. They've got a call to come in, the EE1Ds. They've got a lot of gadgets to work behind here, basically to get themselves inside the building nice and easy. They're ignoring the top floor. I'm a little bit nervous here for Astralis that they might get themselves blindsided if they're not careful. They've got rid of Rise, but 2 of them have completely ignored them. They're rushing the sites in. They said, forget about your east stairs hold. We're coming in. Maya finds 1. Dash a 2nd. They found 3 kills on the site. Lost One might have just forced us through to overtime here as we go into a 3 versus 2. Astralis for the 2nd time this half caught asleep with their pants around their ankles, and they've got to try and scrap their way back into this.
Dots manages to successfully get that diffuser down on the ground, but here comes the retake. Spiff has had a fantastic day so far. He's going to have to go big. He finds his 2nd. There is only Dash left, currently stood inside of the smoke. He's going to have to relocate here, and this is becoming a real dogfight, and there's the final kill. Spiff is going to be able to disable the diffuser, and Astralis will take border, and passions are running high in the server, Des.
Shut up, Logan! Shut up,
They won't talk in the name! They won't talk in the name!
Put it back, Logan! Put it back,
Iconic dropping the bag there at the end as well, just as a bit of a sign of disrespect. I love the boys being at each of the throats a little bit here, but you've got to ask for Lost One. A 3v2 post plan, that should be your round to win, but Astralis hold on and pull it back.
Certainly do.